Welcome to Confident HR Conversations, the podcast for HR professionals who know what they want to say in meetings, but they struggle to say it in English clearly. I'm Alena Konečná, and in each episode, we break down real HR situations and show you what to say and how to say it with confidence. What if the biggest mistake your company makes is promoting your best technical expert into a leadership role and then leaving them to drown? Today's guest is Marek Marušinec, co-founder of the Institut kreativního koučování and the architect behind Abeceda Lídra. Having led teams of 200 to 400 people across corporate, administrative, and sports environment, Marek is here to explain why new managers don't know what they don't know and how HR can transition from being default people solver to coaching managers to own their teams. Welcome, Marek. Welcome to to Confident HR Conversations, to my podcast.
Yeah, great being here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Let's dive into our today's topic, which is we will be talking about newly promoted managers. So managers stepping into their role from their teamwork or their team member role, and how HR can support them in this transition. So let's start with mapping out the major challenges that these new managers face when they transition from doing the technical work to facilitating the team and the work.
That's a great start, because it's very natural that we fall into the same pitfalls. It's not like unique for any specific manager. It's, I would say, pattern we are observing when working with managers in different organizations across different sectors. So that's a great question for a start. Let me start maybe a little broader. We are creatures of habit, and we tend to create something I call winning strategies. And then we tend to repeat those winning strategies because they are winning because they brought us success in the past in the first place. If I'm a specialist and I'm a good specialist, promoted for being a good specialist, I'm trying to repeat what brought me there. So I'm usually doing all the things very good specialists do, which is like, for example, I work hard. I am proactive, and I show some level of initiative. I take full responsibility. I know all the details of my work, and that's fantastic. That is all the stuff that makes you a great specialist. But then you are promoted, and all these things might work against you. And the point is exactly that we tend to repeat the things that made us successful in the past. It's not that I don't need to know the details when I'm a leader. It's just not the success factor. It's not that I don't need to work hard. It's just that the success factor is something else. And it doesn't come naturally that people realize, oh, what brought me here is something I need to change and start learning and doing something completely else. So it's very natural that we meet leaders who have difficulties, for whom it is really hard to transfer to the new skill set and mindset required for them to be successful in their managerial role.
All right. You mentioned several things like hard work, being proactive. So what is the difference when it comes to hard work and being productive, which I'm sure also managers have to be, right? But I see that there's some change. So what is the change? What's the difference?
Okay. The difference is mainly in what I take responsibility for. If I'm a specialist, I take responsibility for my field of expertise. I need to do certain number of calls. If I'm a salesperson, I need to, I don't know, program certain lines of code if I'm a coder. And that's what I take responsibility for. And if I'm a good specialist, I deliver on that promise. As soon as I become leader, the responsibility is to equip the team members with the tools, with the right information, with the motivation if necessary, so that they are able to deliver. I take responsibility for different things. I still work hard because working with people is not like easier work. It still might be quite a difficult and hard work, but I take responsibility for something else. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. So it's not about working less or being less proactive, but it's about having a different goal.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and that might be very challenging, especially for people who were teammates with the team. Maybe they were friendships, they were beer buddies or whatever. And suddenly the boundaries have to change, the relationship, the role changes. So how can the managers handle this change of boundary?
Well, if I said changing the winning strategy was hard, this one, changing a role within the team, is painful. It literally is, because it attacks our need to belong, which is evolutionary need. And it is about redefining my role within the team. Signing contract takes minute. Reading company announcement about me being promoted into the new role takes minutes. But changing a role and breaking the old relational habits and patterns around it takes weeks, months, and sometimes I don't want to sound harsh, but the reality is that sometimes it requires changing the team as well. Because there are certain members who might not accept that my role has changed. And if it doesn't work, then something needs to happen. And very often someone needs to go out. It doesn't sound nice, but I repeatedly work with managers who have exactly this, I would say, type of a problem. They became managers in their previous team and have difficulties dealing with people who didn't accept the change. So they try A, B, C, D, but somewhere down the road, it has to have an ending. So back to your original question, it is painful very often. It requires from the manager awareness that the role has changed. And if I want to be effective as a manager, I cannot be best friends with the people I lead anymore. I need to change some of my former behaviors. And then it also requires some support on the organizational level. Like, for example, good role models, support from manager, maybe HR support in understanding the new role and accepting the new responsibility manager has.
So I'm hearing on the one hand, self-awareness of the manager himself or herself about what this change means, and then also some structural support.
Yeah, exactly.
From the managers, from HR. can you give an example of what practical step what it could look like?
Yeah. In my opinion, stepping into the role of a manager requires new onboarding. You have onboarding when you join the company. You learn about, I don't know, history, basic tools, customers, previous successes, pitfalls, whatever. You also have some round around the company, so you know the different departments. You understand who is who in the company. As soon as you become a leader, onboarding is a perfect start for the role. And what I mean by onboarding is that I start focusing on what the new role requires, which is people skills. If I was a specialist before, I didn't need them. Of course, I needed some basic communication skills, but now it's like it levels up. So I need to understand what is psychological safety and how do I contribute to psychological safety in my team. Why is immediate feedback so important for setting the boundaries, performance management, and so on? Why sharing information and how to share information in the team creates clarity and gives the right information for people to have autonomy and can make their own decisions. Why one type of leadership doesn't fit all. Why I need to alternate between different types of leadership, because I don't lead, so far, robots. I lead people with different competencies, different motivations, different aspirations, different life experiences. So I need to be able to read that a bit and work with that. And I'm not mentioning working with change, conflict resolution, stress management, and so on. So there is a lot new leader, regardless of for how long he or she is in the company, needs to learn. That's why onboarding for me is a very practical way of introducing a newly promoted leader into what this role will require.
That makes so much sense. So I'm hearing that regardless of how long the person has been in the company, taking on a leadership role means that they need to train themselves in a completely different new set of skills they might have not needed up to then.
Yeah.
But now, because their goals changes, their responsibilities changes, then the skill set have to change as well. And it takes time and it requires support. I can imagine that it's not something that anyone can just do on their own without at least feedback, at least some kind of a mentoring or.
Exactly. And now we are touching the stakeholder map. So who is involved or who should be involved in this type of onboarding? It's great if company has the funds to have good external trainers, coaches, lecturers, whomever. But that's only one part. The second and very important part is direct manager, because the direct manager is the one who hopefully has one-on-ones with the newly promoted manager. So asking about what have you learned? How do you apply it? What obstacles do you find in applying it? What support do you need from me? Is so relevant for the new tools, methods, information to really become a skill set, to become competencies. And that requires time. It doesn't happen on the training. The training as such is just the beginning. It happens during the practical situations and I would say reflection, stopping and evaluating what works, what doesn't work, what do I do next differently, and so on. And direct manager in here is, I would say, irreplaceable.
I love how you say that it doesn't happen in the training, but it has to it has to be tied with the daily, with the practice, right? And I think
Absolutely.
it's something I noticed that you spoke about on LinkedIn as well, that trying to teach leadership before the people step into the leadership role might not make much sense if they don't have the direct experience with those situations.
Exactly. You don't use it, you lose it. When you learn something which is interesting but not important for you at the time because you don't have opportunity to practice it, you lose it very quickly.
Right. And I also like how you mentioned the importance of the direct report of the direct boss of the newly promoted manager. And I can imagine that it's so crucial because, as you said, the manager is losing their group where they belonged to before.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I can imagine that they in that situation, they're looking for a different people, different group, different peer group they could belong to in this next step, next stage of their career and life. And one of those people could be also HR. And I can imagine that many HR have been in a situation when maybe not even newly appointed a manager, but managers who feel that it's the HR role to solve the people problems in their teams. And that's exactly what's something that we will now demonstrate in the little role play to show what can HR do so that they are not they don't accept this role of people's fixer. But they can actually support the managers so that they can learn to lead their teams and lead their people on their own with the support, of course. So there's this difference, right? So how we will do that, I will be, in this case, newly promoted manager who's still a little bit overwhelmed because there's a conflict in the team. And I see you, Marek, as the expert, the HR business partner who knows how to work with people, knows how to resolve conflicts. And so I will be trying to push this conflict to you. So that you fix it for me or for my team. I have four prompts. We will not go into details, but I'm just curious if you could show us how HR can keep the boundary in this case, right? Okay. So let's start with the first prompt. So Marek, it's great that you're here. I really need your help on this. Lucia and Martin, they're arguing at every stand-up meeting, and it's getting really horrible. So I just want to ask you, can you just get them all in one room and fix the problem for the team because it's becoming unbearable?
Well, first of all, thanks for sharing. Thanks for having this confidence in coming in here and telling me that. I understand it might be difficult for you right now. I do have a few questions. May I ask first?
Of course.
Okay. Can you give me some more details around the whole situation? And I'm asking about I'm asking about facts of the situation. Then the second question would be, I don't want to sound challenging in here, but you are their leader. What is your role in the whole situation? And the third one is, what have you already tried to solve the problem before coming to me and asking me for help?
Okay, that's great. So asking for details, helping the manager naming their role in the dynamic. That's very cool. And then what was already done? Excellent. Great questions. Let's try the second prompt. I will not back down from you. So Marek, I appreciate your time now, but my time is also precious. And I just don't have the time to play the referee. I'm not a mentor. I'm not a mediator. Because the team is now on fire because of this conflict. I've been doing all the work so that the project moves forward, and I don't have time for conflict resolution.
Well, again, I'm sorry to hear that. Honestly, it must be overwhelming for you with all the things you do apart from this situation. But let me just clarify this. Lucia and Martin are still working in here. They have roles to fill. They have work to deliver. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And they are not doing it properly. Is that correct as well?
Well,
Okay.
it impacts the
So,
team. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So what feedback do you need to give them? Let's start from there.
All right. So focusing on giving the feedback. I'm wondering about the mindset of the manager who feels like there's no time to give feedback, right? What could be the question here?
I don't know if it's a question in here, because for me, it's much more about clarity around the role of a manager. When accepting the role, you also accept it dealing with people issues and people processes and people leadership, basically. So if you tell me that you don't have time to give people feedback, and I'm not asking you about creating team building for them, I'm asking you to give them feedback, which, if you prepare for it, will take 5 minutes. So what do you tell me when you are telling me that you don't have time to give them feedback, and instead come to me and ask me to do that for you?
Okay.
And I might, as an HR, I might help them prepare for the feedback. I might help them describe the situation, give them method to deliver the feedback. I just don't accept the role of giving the feedback instead of them.
Thank you. Thank you so much for highlighting that, because I feel that many people fear that they will give feedback wrongly. Right. But as you say, I totally agree that it has to come from the right people. And the way is to, or the path towards that is to empower them. Right. I get a third prompt for you. Yeah. So, Marek, for you, it's easy to say to give feedback to Lucia Martin, but, just a few weeks ago, they were my teammates. If now I try to act like the boss, delivering the feedback, I think I'm going to destroy the relationship and, the harmony. And that's the last thing I need for now. But you're the official HR, you're the neutral party. I think it would be better to come from you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is difficult. Believe me, I understand that being friends with someone and then becoming their boss is a really difficult transition. However, short term, it might help if someone else gave them feedback, but long term, you are still in the position to give them feedback, to deal with them, to confront them if they don't deliver what is promised from their side. So by me telling you it's not my role to give them feedback, I'm not trying to shy away from helping you. I'm just trying to give you the tools to redefine your position as soon as possible, because you will need that, and rather sooner than later. So how can I help you in order to redefine your role and be very clear around the roles they have to play in the organization and your role in the organization?
I like how you make sure that you acknowledge the manager's reality first.
Yeah. That's something I very consciously focus on, because I want them to feel validated. When they feel validated, when they feel that I know where they're coming from, I understand their situation, they are much more inclined to believe me and being open to be led by me as a consultant, I would say, in the situation.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I also like how you highlight the risk of, you know, not doing it the right way, or not taking the role on their own. All right, I have the fourth prompt, which might come from certain types of managers. So, I'm expert on the technical results. Yeah, this is my word. This is what I knew. No, I don't have a degree in psychology. I'm not a coach, unlike maybe, you have the knowledge. I don't feel I'm able to do something like this group therapy thing.
Yeah, I hear that. However, I'm not a therapist, nor coach either. And I don't think that's required. Do you want me to tell you what I feel is really required in this situation?
Yeah.
The first thing is courage. The courage to be clear about things you don't like, even though it might be unpopular. And the second thing is being able to step into discomfort, because I understand and fully understand that it is discomforting situation. And these are the things you will need as a leader. In this company, I think forever. Once you start building the courage and ability to step into discomfort, you will, let me find the right words for it. You will be able to deal with these situations on your own. And I will gladly support you in finding the right words, in formulating the feedback, but I cannot substitute for courage and ability to step into discomfort. That's your role as a leader.
That's a very interesting framing of what it means to lead people. Not sure if it's something that's spoken about as much, like that it needs to be we need to be comfortable with the discomfort and intentionally be brave to say uncomfortable things to people.
Yeah. If this is a topic which is of interest to you or some of the listeners, Brené Brown wrote a very interesting book which is called Daring Leadership. And she talks exactly about how important it is to be courageous in the leadership role, because it is about facing the discomforts, not only from the external world, but also all these discomforts coming from within, like, for example, own vulnerability, own myself making mistakes and not being afraid to admit it. So yeah, courage is definitely something that needs to be talked about more in leadership.
Sounds great. And I'm going to definitely link the book in the description. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Right. So we've touched on different ways that the manager can express their uncertainty when there's an issue arising in their team and they don't feel equipped to deal with it. And you showed us how HR can support this manager to step into their role. So if you can imagine an HR who knows that there will be a new manager stepping up, what do you think could be a good thing to tell them at this early onset of their change of roles? What could be the way that HR can support them even before those troubles arise? What do you think should be the one of the first things in that onboarding process?
That's a great question for a start. I meant for a start of a new manager, because all the situations we've been through, the 4 scenarios, you don't start there actually. You start by building relationship. And once you have that relationship, once you have this credibility, that newly appointed manager comes to you with confidence that this is the right place. They are much more able to learn from you, to be led by you, to consult difficult things with you, and so on. So, and you start building relationship. Okay, there is a lot of ways how to do that, but specifically answering your question, you as HR come to see the person, not the other way around. Because if you wait for people, if you tell them we have open door policy and you come when you need, they don't come. It's just hierarchical barrier, and they don't overcome that barrier in more cases than not. So you come and see them, and you start by telling them, okay, here I am. I know this is difficult. It is something which is which requires a lot of learning. Whenever you need to discuss people issues, to discuss difficult situations in your team, and you feel like I can be your partner in that, please come and see me. You start by building relationship and making the first step.
I love that. Thank you so much for this advice. It makes so much sense not to wait until there is a problem, right? But start to build a relationship and not. And I agree on that open door policy, that it sounds very inviting, and some companies this can work perfectly well. But I can imagine in some situations it can be difficult to overcome this barrier. Well, thank you so much, Marek, for sharing your wisdom and your experience, because you have so much experience with the projects that you have. I follow you on LinkedIn because you share a lot about your project Abeceda Lídra. And you have also workshops at the Institute Kreativního koučování, Institute of Creative Coaching. So is there any way, or is there anything that you would like to share with the listeners and invite, or how they can reach to you?
Well, you have mentioned the project I'm involved in. There is no space for me to be involved in more projects, because this is more than 100% of my time. So the best way, I would say, is following me on LinkedIn, because I'm quite prolific author and I share a lot of my experiences, my thoughts around leadership and coaching. So if you want to be inspired, or if you want to get in touch, that would be probably the best way.
Excellent. And I'm gonna link it also in the description. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and have a great day.
Before your next HR meeting, notice where you hesitate. Is it vocabulary, structure, or confidence under pressure? If you want clarity on what's actually blocking you and what you can do with it, take the HR Communicator Diagnostic in the description. It is free, it takes 3 minutes, and it shows you where to focus first.